Oral history is a treasury that's often overlooked, but now a new three-part series taps that treasury, with London's East Enders remembering their life in songs and stories from the turn of the century, singing for dear life.
In London, it was paradise for the rich and the well-to-do, but hell for the poor, because there was no way of getting money.
The wages what my father gave my mother wasn't sufficient, and when we were in the money sort of thing, we, as children, they wouldn't eat their crusts. And when we got hard up at the end of the week, we'd toast these crusts and soften them up and eat them.
I just come to think how it all come about. You know, you rich, and then you go poor, and then you come rich again. It's all according to what job you get, you see, what money. See, you never used to get the money years ago, what they get now.
A penny you'd buy your working man a half a pint of beer. A penny you'd buy your half a loaf. A penny you'd buy good cheer. A penny you'd buy a banana. The skin will break your neck. A penny you'd buy a savoury duck to keep you company. Money is funny, the funniest thing we've got. A smoking potato with tears in its eye. A paper that's full of the wickedest lie. A penny you'd buy the lot. A penny you'd buy the lot.
Well, my mother used to washing, taking washing, so much a dozen. And when I come home from school, she'd say, Alice, can you give us a hand to ring up? I say, yes, I'll ring up. Mother has a little ringer. I'd put her through the ring and bring them up, hang them out on the line in the garden, and they'd all be dry for the next day for the pawn shop.
Used to line up 8 o'clock of a Monday morning. The Sunday suit, you know, went in the pawn shop, and there was a halfpenny for the pawn ticket. And every week those clothes were in, that you didn't get them out, you had to pay another halfpenny.
Inside the pawn shop, there's all like cubicles. So the person, if you was in there with anything, the person in the next cubicle couldn't see what you had. But fortunately enough, I didn't have to go up there. But there was people in Scott Street that were very, very poor. Some of the poor little devils didn't have no trousers, you know. Being vulgar, they're laughed at their trousers.
It's a long way to the pawn shop. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to the pawn shop where all our mothers go. Goodbye, coat and waistcoat. Farewell, watch and chain. And if you don't keep your eyes on your trousers, they'll go there the same.
There were people who would call themselves tallymen, and they would come around, you see, and if you wanted something, you wanted a dress or a suit or a pair of shoes, and they would supply it, and they state a price, which was, of course, probably 50% above the normal price, and you paid for it, twopence, threepence, fourpence, sixpence a week. The trouble was, of course, that people began to order too much and found that they couldn't pay.
Oh, well, moneylender. I used to have to go. And when you didn't have the money at the end of the week, you used to have to pay, what's it called? Interest. You pay the interest on that money and that'd go on for weeks. And you still got to pay that money at the end of the time. When a good bit of money did come in, you should have to take it and give it to her, didn't you? After paying all the interest all the time.
But to knew she was out there. Oh, she jumped with joy. She danced, she showed all the drawers, the long drawers. She danced the flooring, nearly danced the flooring, she did, when she knew she was, didn't pay no more money lenders. They'd bloodsucker 'em.
Are they all at home? As your father or mother? As your sister Mary Ann? And what's become of your brother? Oh, I say, as your family going east, pay your way, but I believe in owing it.
My father was a coal porter. He used to go round not selling firm, go from a firm, go round with coals, delivering the coals. Oh, yeah, it was hard work. You had to luck them heavy bags up right at the top of buildings. There wasn't no lifts then like there is now.
I seldom ever saw him, except at weekends. But if I saw him coming home at night, he had an old clay pipe in his mouth, upside down, with sort of all the pipe, you know, the juice dribbling down his chin. And he'd just wander into the house and he'd go straight up. You wouldn't see or hear of him anymore until the next morning. Then the poor devil was out again in the snow and the rain or whatever, you know, and off again. And
A person, if he had a job, he had to work hard. Because there was about 6 people ready to step in and take it off him, you see? So whatever that governor said, so he had to do it. You see, or get a second. He couldn't afford a second, especially if you've got a big family.
Work, don't mention work. Millions have taken to drink about it. Work, it's a terrible thing. Thousands collapse when they think about it. Our family's motto is never to work, and bravely we stick to it, rather. It would break Father's heart if we were to starve, so we mean to be loyal to Father.
Well, the only thing that people didn't like was cleaning, you know, for people. But they done it. No, they done it because they
want the money.
Want the money.
Francis, I want you to clean the drawing room. I want you to take the curtains down and put a new one up. Brush the carpet with the little brush. Get down on your knees and brush it with the little brush. I want the carpet cleaning.
I'm scrubbing from morning until night. Instead of getting fat, I'm getting leaner. And everybody knows by me apron and me clothes, I'm square the doorstep cleaner.
They were very strict, very tight-fisted, and very mean. You had to work 4 weeks to get any money, £2 a month, 10 shillings a week. from 5 in the morning till 12 at night. And if you didn't keep moving, they showed you the door and told you you were too slow.
In them days, jobs was hard to get. And when I went to get that job, there was just a long queue outside, and they say, girls are 14 only. And all I was just turned away, see?
They used to fight for a day's work at the docks. And even myself, if my own particular trade was bad, I'd go to the docks. And the foreman, you had to be there early in the morning, and the foreman would have tickets. And if you was lucky enough to get a ticket, you went to work. And he might only have about 20 tickets, and there'd be about 100 or so wanting them.
What's the use of you kicking up around where there ain't no work around? Lie in bed and rest your head till the school kids all come out. If you've not got the work, well, you can't get the sack. That's the motto, sensible and sound. Lay your head upon the pillar and read the Daily Mirror and wait till the work comes round.
You know, you pick up any bits of old scraps of wood, go down the market or Spitalfields or to Billingsgate and get old empty boxes and bring them back and chop them up, and you'd sell them for firewood. And if you were in a big way, you'd hire a barrow and you go round the streets, firewood home, you see, penn'orth of firewood and so on.
It all according to what work was on. Some days it was very busy, you know. Another day you wouldn't see him for days. See? So you could never tell what you was going to have. Some days you had plenty of food, another day you never had any.
The wives at home, if their husband had come home by a certain time, they were pleased because they knew he was took on. But when he come home, when they saw him coming down the street or anything like that, they knew it wasn't one of his lucky days.
I live one day at a time. Now that's the motto for me. Dark clouds fade away. Tomorrow the sun will be shining. Now what's tomorrow to me? When each day I'm the pleasure of life. I be no sorrow that may come tomorrow. I live one day at a time.
Now, when people were really desperately hungry, I mean, when they hadn't got a penny in the world, and of course they had to prove that they hadn't, they could go to the relief office, the RO as they called it, but they wouldn't get money. They get something like a loaf of bread, half a pound of margarine, a packet of tea.
They pay your rent for you and just give you a few tickets for food. When that was out, you couldn't go no more. And every time you go up to these centres, it's packed right out. Packed right out, it is for RO. Tell you what a problem it was.
But my grandfather was a chest maker. You'd make chest of drawers.
Chest of drawers years ago.
And he worked over Deptford. And he made some for my mother. And when she went on the RO, they said to her, they come and they looked round your place, looked round the place. So they said, get rid of that. So she said, get rid of that? What for? So he said, that gets so much on that. So she said, nothing in your life. She said that my father made that with his own hands, and I'm not going to part with it. I'd sooner grow angry. So I wouldn't give him anything. Wouldn't give her 8 penny. And even a ringer that you could get twopence farthing a dozen doing mangling, which they did, they tell you to sell that. And if you were silly enough to do that, when you had done that, you know what they say? Well, you're destitute. Come in the house, that's the worker. That's how they got you. But they told you to do it.
Outside the RO every Thursday morning, waited for me £2.10. Along came the officer and said to me, "Good morning, Mr. Brown. How much longer are you going to do this? 6 more years," I cried. Away shook the officer and shook his head, and this is what he cried. "Come inside, you silly bugger, come inside. I thought you had a bit more sense. Working for your living, take my tip. Act a bit silly and become a lunatic. Now you get your grub quite regular, and 2 new suits besides. What with 50 bob a week and half a dozen kids to keep? Come inside, you see, come inside."
She went to a church once, and they gave her a packet of tea and a packet of sugar. They didn't give her any money. They didn't know her. She didn't attend the church. She never went to the church.
People used to send their children over dinner time over to us. There used to be a soup kitchen. You take your jug or a basin or something big, and you go in there, you get a half a loaf, give you, and you get a basin of pea soup.
They thought it was degrading. Well, look, if you had children, you couldn't, don't matter how much pride you've got to think of the children's health. And my mother used to think of them, and though she hated it, she used to have to go there to get it for the children's sake, so that they wouldn't suffer.
While strolling one night through the London's grey slums, I met a poor boy who was singing a song. And though he was singing, he wanted for bread. And though he was smiling, he wished himself dead. A carriage drove by with a lady inside. She smiled and caressed her own loving child. Joe followed the carriage till the clock had struck 1. When up came a policeman, his duty was done. "What is this? What is this?" the policeman did say. "A poor ragged urchin with nowhere to go, with his face turned to heaven, all covered with snow, died on the doorstep, the poor little Joe."
The rich didn't mix with the poor. No. You didn't see very little of them, did you? Because you couldn't move from where you were. You didn't have the money, so you just stay put and make the most of it, see?
Circumstances were such that if a kid, such as a child which lived in my area, won a scholarship, father had to find uniform, clothes, satchel, and so on. It would probably cost him £3 or £4. And I mean, when a man's only earning 15 shillings a week, He can't afford to buy these things and let his child go to school until it is 16. You went to work as soon as your father could get you out to work.
Oh, I won a scholarship when I was at school. I remember, actually I didn't realise what had happened. The headmaster came in and I heard him mumbling about a great honour has been done to the school. Frederick Dace won a scholarship, and I blushed. And that's all I thought about it. I went home. I never told my parents. I never told my father. Other people told my father. I didn't tell him.
Well, in 1910, the government got up a scheme. There was such widespread unemployment and abject poverty in London that they got a scheme up to go to Canada or New Zealand. They were given a free passage and a large hamper of warm clothing if they went to Canada, and assured of a permanent job when they got there, and a house, you know, living accommodation. They were assured of all that sort of thing, so a lot of families went. I had an aunt and uncle went with 7 children, and of course she had a man, see, but Mum was just left a widow, so couldn't go on your own.
I made up my mind to sail away, sail away, sail away. I don't mean to stay another day. I'll find luck somewhere. In my colony I lead to try. Yes, I'll try. Do or die, for I'm going away, and I'll be back someday, but I may be a millionaire.
Well, they had no one to stick up for them. It was a case of every man for himself. You never had the unions or anything at the sport, not like they've got today, you see. And it was through bad wages and bad conditions that certain people got together and formed the unions.
Unions weren't so strong then, but at Lusty's, packing case makers, where 2 of my brothers worked and my eldest sister worked, there was a strike nearly every other week. Yes, always a strike of some sort there. But of course, as I say, the governors then seemed to be able to have the upper hand in those days.
He had a job, yeah, he worked in a chemical factory. And in a laboratory. Well, then he felt a bit big one day, so he's trying to get them all in the union. He said, we don't get enough money. We start a union, which he did. When the governor got to hear of it, he lost his job in there, didn't they? They put him in the factory.
Oh, we work all day and we work all night. We work all day on Sunday. All we get for overtime is don't be late on Monday.
Well, you knew there were sort of, you know, high-born people. There were people who were rich, but you didn't come into contact with them. You never met them. You never saw them. So that was all there was to it. I mean, for instance, if you were a worker in a factory, you were never allowed to go anywhere near the office or see the manager or the boss, because you weren't allowed near there. If you went into an office, everybody would say, what the hell are you doing here? Get out of here, you know.
I think they gloried in it, really. They seemed to didn't care. You see? Because when they drove around in their horse and carriage or anything like that, they used to see the poor people used to be huddled up on the pavement, and they just ride by and take no notice. I don't think they cared.
They kept away from us because they was frightened that there might be a riot, you know, when they come and see, when they come and see how we was living.
While London sleeps and all its lights are gleaming, millions of its people there lay softly dreaming.
softly weep. Others laugh and play the game, while London's fast asleep.